today I have a sense of completion because I finally have this guy. It is the last of the micromaster bases. This is Hothouse, and he's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light them up, baby. And hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton to let you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors, NL, the Autobot Family, Autobot City Central, Transformers vs. G.I. Joe vs. DC Universe vs. Marvel, and all of my social media links. All of that is down in the description. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. And this is the Generation Selects Hothouse. It is the last of the micromaster bases. Now I get it, it's a reuse of Airwave, though I think certain modes match this guy better. Now for the most part, really, I'm not going to show the transformations here because we already really saw most of them with Airwave. However, we do have two new things here that I will show. One is a loadout that he can do attached really to the sideswipe mold, but I guess to a lot of molds. It's actually documented in the instructions. We're also going to look at sort of an alternate configuration for his parts to better mimic his kind of G1 rolling tank sort of thing. Machine. Mode. Anyway, without any further ado, how about we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And today I have a sense of vindication because we have the final, the last of the micromaster bases. I said a long time ago, man, when I looked at Hothouse, the original Hothouse, back in episode 565, that I wanted an update, and finally we have such an update. Now this one is perhaps of all four of them the biggest departure, and you would think it's the exact same thing as Airwave, and mostly it is, but a couple of things worth noting here. One, he doesn't have a little plane who is actually named Hothouse, or the base, you know, just being the base. He himself is the thing. It's sort of like the repaint with Grease Pit. We didn't have a micromaster to go with it, even though Ironworks and Airwave both have a little micromaster companion to go with them. We'll see that in a few moments. However, that being said, even though this guy's the biggest departure, there is still like a different mode, I'll call it. It's really a loadout to go on Sideswipe. That is shown in the instructions, and I even have come up with a form that better resembles his like battle sort of tank sort of mode in G1. We'll see that as well. But before we get to any of that, I guess we should do the packaging. It is Selects packaging. It says Hothouse. Who cares? And here we have some lovely instructions, baby. And these, unlike the mainline, don't have any stats. I don't know. Like Airwaves had stats. Hothouses doesn't have stats. Go figure. I guess that's the difference of mainline and select. The loud and proud Hothouse looks pretty good in terms of accuracy. Not quite. The G1 had more pink than red, though I like the red better. The oranges are right. The blues are right. It's not quite accurate. There's, wherever you see red really should be pink, but I think that would be super duper loud. Like this is pretty loud and gaudy as it is with its orange and red and blue mixture. It is quintessentially 90s. However, being that it has to do with being like a firehouse, I never thought the pink really fit anyway. I don't know. I think I'm going to call this at least a 9. Of course, as I say that, I also say it with the caveat that he did appear in Zone, at least in base mode. He didn't have a robot mode. So the base appeared in Zone, and that did look more red than it did pink. So, you know, but it didn't have as much blue. So, like, there's trade-offs, right? There's real trade-offs. Like, that was pretty much stark red with a bit of yellow. So, or orange maybe. So, yeah, I'm going to call this a 9. In terms of the articulation, honestly, it's 10. So is Airwave. The head, it can go left and right. This arm over here, it can go all the way around. If you lift that up, it can go all the way out. We have a bicep swivel. We have an elbow to 90 degrees over here all the way out. If we get this out of the way, elbow to 90 degrees. We have a swivel. We have a waist, which is really cool. The legs can go all the way back, all the way forward. There's a rotation. We have 90 degrees at the knee. We have an ankle tilt. Pretty much has, and he can do the splits all the way. Pretty much has everything that you would want. Now, because I've already shown the transformations through his main modes with Airwave, I'm not going to waste time doing it again. I will show them to you quickly, but we're going to focus then on the last two. So, here he is in robot mode. So far, the guy's getting a 9 and 10. He's a 9.5. His next mode, which is kind of like an airport mode, looks like this. Now, undoubtedly, while the guy can pull this mode off, this is definitely the airport mode that it's intended for, Airwave. And I am very pleased to say that, unlike the stock images that showed Fire Station being tempoed on upside down, Fire Station is tempoed on right side up on the actual release, at least on my copy. Whew! I avoided a real catastrophe there. But I don't think that this is the mode that is most intended for him. I think this one is. Again, here's an example of a mode that I think was best intended for this guy. Yes, Airwave can do it, but I think it's really meant to go with this guy to look like the road out in front of the fire station. And he can also do... And yes indeed, this is definitely more intended for Airwave than it is for this guy. This is quintessentially Airwave's mode, and I get it. They did it here because they were like, well, he was supposed to have a battle mode, but he's more of a battle tank. So is there a way to do that? Well, we're going to explore that in a few moments, but we need to get him in robot mode again first for a second. Now this makes me feel really good. This makes me feel happy. All four of the micromaster bases, they all now have robot modes. They can all do their bases and they can all do a battle mode. I love it. I absolutely love this. Now, I said that there's two more things we can do with Hot House. I suppose you could do it with Airwave too, but we will look at it now with Hot House. The first is a loadout that goes on Sideswipe. And here's the loadout, wild as it is. All we did was we took off, I'll use Airwave here as a point of reference actually, because I didn't really show doing this. All we did is we took off the lower legs and they go attached to the feet using these pegs right here as shoes, boosters. Then the upper body here, the chest region, you take out the peg that's in the chest and you flip it all the way down and that becomes an arm shield. I think that's all that we can see from the front here. Then if we turn him around, we took the pelvis and the thigh section and we used the peg that's, use this peg, the peg that's up in the body, we used that to go into his back. We angled these up and then using these two pegs here, we took one arm, the one with the panels on it, and it kind of hangs out down behind because this is sort of like this. And the other arm has all of the blasters attached to it and it goes attached up here and it hangs out over his shoulder. So yeah, that's something. Look, here's the thing, whether you think that's weird or useless or frivolous or whatever, it can do it and it does add a whole new layer of display ability and articulation and ideology that could be used to come up with creative mixes and matches. It is pretty cool, and that brings us to the very last thing, a battle mode that's a little more reminiscent of his actual battle mode. And here we have the last mode, which is more reminiscent of its actual battle mode from G1. We basically took the legs and we made them into the airstrip, and then we folded up the feet as if we were going to the other battle mode. We do have the thigh treads pegged up underneath and the other treads left here. Now before, when we done the other battle mode, we disconnected these front treads and this arm and connected it up here via the chest. The chest is now on the runway and we've got one arm pegged into the chest peg and the elbow is our mechanism for moving this cannon up and down. The cannon, of course, unfortunately is not like a yellow orangey color, but this rolls. It's a battle tank more than a battle base, and that is exactly what we would want as fans of G1, or at least that's what I want as a fan of G1. I love this. So far, from this one mold, we have seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you count the loadout, and now 6 if you count the alternate battle form. Listen, the transformation's a 10. The guy was getting about a 9.5. He's getting a solid 9.5, 9.75. As funky and dumpy and weird as this mold looks, it is a tremendous offering and a tremendous update to Hothouse. And here we are once again, and here he is. And yes, it's a mold reuse, but I think it's successful. And especially with the kind of fan mode, it's like, you know what? That's a decent approximation. We have the treads and stuff, so it's all right. I like this mold as Airwave. I said that I think people were underestimating it. And I think it's the same thing here. I think people are underestimating it. I really do thoroughly enjoy it. Now, maybe we're soon going to have a base update. I'm hoping, though, to be fair, Tessa doesn't make setting up the bases very easily. If you don't know who Tessa is, that's our dog that we've had now for about a month. And while I love her, she doesn't make this stuff real easy sometimes. So, yeah, I think this is absolute success. I am very glad that the fire station is not upside down as it was in the stock photos very early on. If you haven't got Hothouse or Airwave, I think you're doing yourself a disservice because they are just plain fun. Let me know what you think about these guys. You know I appreciate you coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course, hit the join button right here on YouTube. Don't forget that somehow, someway, man, each and every single solitary day, you do make a difference. And I look forward, baby, to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, right here, inside the videos.